Okay, let's get started. How are we going there, traders? I hope we're all doing well today. Hope we're a bit of a rough market today, down about 70 points. So we've got a lot to talk about today. Like I said, welcome to Trade Setup and the live stream for the 18th of May. Now, big night overnight in the US. Looks like Trump has got himself in a bit of hot water. So I don't know if everyone's been following. Obviously, trying to find out what's happening. Followed the news overnight. What happened out of the US? What drove that market lower? It's probably, I guess, what's going on is something pretty much what we expected with these sorts of valuations out of the US. Anyway, company valuations being quite extended. There was sooner or later a bit of heat was going to come out of the market, and the longer it took, the harder it can be sometimes. Just purely because everyone's expecting, and if it keeps grinding higher, sometimes the moves down could be hard and fast. Doesn't mean that everything's not over and we can't turn around and rally again and really start to put the pressure back on again. But we'll just have to see how it goes. I think what's happened, if you have followed it, Trump's got himself in hot water with, I think it's his recent dismissal of the FBI head honcho. So I wanted to say there's something where it was unfair dismissal or something he did. I don't know the exact facts and figures, but it came out through the New York Times, an article, and that's obviously put the pressure on him and whether or not he can get in I guess for lack of a better term, in the crap for it, a bit of an impeachment or something. He could really be in a bit of trouble. So what that's done, in turn, all these sorts of things that are popping out, it's really taken the focus off tax reform, which is pretty much the reason why this market is so high, why the US has pushed to all-time highs, dragged a few other markets with it. So if that's the case, what it is that people are just getting sick of waiting. I mean, like you would, the longer you wait, the more likely you are to just want to take your profits and run. If it can't go higher, I mean, it's always that kind of thing, and the less sort of, I guess, trigger that they need, and this is potentially just that trigger that's tipped the market over, obviously, after last night. And it's drove us down too. So we'll take a look at the ASX and where it stands, and the other things. Take a look at the S&P, the big S&P, the US, the FTSE, things like that. So yeah, I think he's got, with Trump. I don't know if everyone can see that note that Anne-Marie just put up. Trump is like a little kid who is seeing how far he can push the limit until he really gets into a lot of trouble. Pretty much, I think he's running it like he's a bit of a bully. Well, he's obviously, it's in his personality, and he's maybe in his business he can get away with it, but I think it's a bit. I just think the things he does, he's not thinking like a politician. He's just thinking like a bit of a businessman, which is great in some respects, but in others, I think that it's politics. It's a different game. I think that's what he's just doing dumb things, I think, and he's like a little kid the way he gets up on Twitter all the time, whether a lot of this is fact or fiction. The stuff he says, you just think, why you even bother saying that? It's like a little kid. You said, I said type of thing. So, I think you're right, Anne-Marie. What's everyone else's opinion? Does anyone out there like Trump? Or, I mean, I don't care either way. I just don't think he's acting a bit stupid. But either way, I mean, what he's doing, he's drove this market higher to new highs. And like we said in a long time, it's a buy the rumour, sell the fact. And if nothing happens, the longer it takes for something to happen with tax reform and everything regarding company growth, then of course people are going to get sick of waiting. And it's always a good. Maybe it does go ahead. This is a bit of a storm in a teacup, and then down the track, because there's going to be a lot. I would suspect, and I think a lot of people either suspect there's going to be a lot of. And this is probably why the market got sold so heavily. There's going to be some sort of, what do you call it? They're going to look into these allegations with the FBI chief. I can't remember what his name was. And that's going to take some time. And I think it just takes the main focus for the government off, for the White House even, off tax reform. And that's what the market's just looked at and go, like, this is bugger this, I'm getting out of it. There's too many stupid things happening. Let's take the profit and run and just see what happens. And obviously that's capitulated last night, especially into the close. I think the selling got a bit heavier into the close. Yeah. No, I think I agree with you, Wayne. Needs to just zip it. Let's take a look at the markets now. Let's just go over to... Let's start off with, this is the ASX on a weekly basis. It's the CFD, but essentially, similar, pretty much the same type of price patterns. We fell a little bit short of that 6,000 mark, which we've been looking at it for a while. Pushed up to, only about 40 or 50 points shy of that. And with regards to this leg up, it's not so bad. It's a good effort, but I would have thought they would have just spiked it through. Let's just turn that down. Just the phone call we're not interested in. So we've got, I'm just going to draw this up a bit. Market's fallen shy of that, but I think the important thing to see, that's not what I want, is it? Let's just see if that, so that's the leg up basically on a weekly. It's pushed down into, what was it, 47.67, 47.70. Get rid of that. 47.70, and it's just bounced up. Then we retested that zone, had a bit of a washout, and now we pushed that. So that basically, that orange line there is a leg up, that most recent leg up. If we just go and test, and I'm figuring support is around, let's just draw that up anyway. Then you've got another little anchor through, was it 50.50 we've been talking about on the weekly basis. So either way you look at it, that was starting to get, that leg up there is pretty much equal to around, it took us to about, say, 5,900. So maybe it's just a wash out of that 5,900 zone, and we may have to do another correction, build a major higher low before we head up towards 6,000 and see if we can get up there. Otherwise we build that high low, push up through. Otherwise it could just build that, we've got a lower high, just pry those very, pretty much solid highs there at 6,000. If we can't build that high low and we start to push up and then failing a bit short, then that's going to be the lower high, and then I would expect a major correction. If we get something like this type of price action, see if we can see it. Yeah, no, it's probably a bit harder to see, but that's on the weekly basis anyway. So, but you can see that what we're trying to say is that extension up from that support zone at, say, 47.50 thereabouts. We had that push up, that big correction through the the elections, US elections, touchdown at 50.50 again, and that produced the next leg up, which took us to about that zone there. So we've just popped up above that rough zone. That's why I thought we could, if it's a very positive bullish markets, we're going to touch up at 6,000, even punch through it, and then roll over. But lo and behold, we'd roll over now. So what we'll do is just go down to the lower time frame charts. Actually, just go over to a daily. So from here, what we're trying to do from here is just look at a zone where, let's just change the colors, because I want to just say what's a potential good anchor zone which could, on a weekly basis, because obviously we spoke about this, I think, Monday. On a daily, it's the 5,900 zone, or 5,800 zone, which needed to hold up on a daily basis for that extra continuation trade, that continuation high, but it didn't. And you can see that we punched through it basically today. Yesterday, I think. We punched through it yesterday, so... Actually, let's get my face up, hey? I know you love it. There you go. So, what we've got there... geez, my memory's like a sieve sometimes. Yeah, so on the daily basis, what we're looking at is pretty much important. On a daily, if we're going to continue on higher towards that 6,000 without a major correction, we need to hold up above 58, which we didn't. So now we've just got to judge, is this leg up, is that finished? And we're going to roll over for a deeper correction, something like this, which could take a lot of heat out of the market, or where is a potential level that we could hold up, where it's going to provide a bit of an anchor to that uptrend on the weekly basis. Now, I'd say there's a good little anchor down here for that weekly leg up. We've got a minor one, which is, just take that out. Well, I don't want that either. It gets a bit harder when you... So we've got a little minor one just in here, which is around that 56.80 zone. So you've still got a bit of room to move. If we just go down to the daily and see what it looks like on the daily chart. What's everyone else's views on... Yeah, I've even put my good stuff on, and I forget. I do my hair, comb my beard, try to get that grey out. But anyway, excuse me. So that daily, you can see we've had that move up, a little higher highs, higher lows, a deeper correction here, and even retest and wash out of that zone. So that's pretty much for me is that key zone, 5,600. We pushed up, just retested as highs, pulled back, built an inside higher low around 56.80. So it's not far off where we're at now. If we can provide, if there is a bit of reaction off that support zone, that'd be nice, and we start building, then we have to build some higher lows off that zone. Otherwise, we want to see, even if we get a bit of a washout, pull back, wash that out, and then get some inside high, low, whoop, and then go. And then that would take us, I would expect, especially if you see a nice little washout, that should take us up towards 6,000, even through it. We may need a deeper correction because these, you can see these on a weekly basis, they're so close. So it may push straight through 57, was it 56.85 or whatever that zone is down there, push straight through, retest that 5600, and then bounce off there. But we'll see. That's only if the market's going to be bullish. Otherwise, we wash that out significantly, or a few percent wise, and then pop back up. I'd expect to see that lower high, and then I think we've got a deeper, a much deeper, and we're going to be seeing, if we can see, a lower high like that on a weekly basis, push down, build a major lower high, and then bang. We'll just have to see how it goes from there. But I think there's a lot just to keep an eye on. At the moment, the bears are well in control, but it's not like the trend is over yet, so I wouldn't be hanging on that. You can see that weekly, that trend up, that leg up is still intact. You've got some key levels just here that we mentioned, another key level at 56. So if they can hold up above that, we can easily. It's just, this happens, I guess, time and time again, and you probably know, a lot of you would know after trading for a while, that the market, when it gets extended, the market can just get negative, and then when the first sign of trouble, everyone's bailing for the door, but sometimes they can really get caught out, and then the market takes off without them, and then they're chasing their tail back up again. So you just have to follow what's happening on the price action, what the key levels are, what could we expect, what sort of reaction or action or reaction can we expect off those zones, and then just trade it accordingly. Of course, you probably wouldn't be jumping into too many positions just yet. It's got to be a nice setup on the daily basis on individual stocks. There are some, we've got one that's actually going up at the moment, so that's quite good in the face of adversity, I'll say. But there's been a few that got stopped out today. But BWX, and we had, I think it was New Farm that got stopped out today, but they were sitting in profit and they were pretty much doing nothing the last few weeks. So you expected that type of price action. They've gone up strong. We took a partial exit, looking for further gains on an extension, but when they start doing nothing, you'd expect, okay, that's going to be the same, as what happened in the US. Sooner or later, if it does nothing for too long, whoever's holding profit doesn't want to give it up, and it could start rolling over. So that's pretty much the case with those two. Still don't look too bad. It's worth keeping an eye on them, but just locking in some gains there. We've got some, like I said, SSM, which is still going up. What are we up? That's kicked on today, so we're up 2.5% today, even though the market's down. I don't know, down roughly 1% or thereabouts. I guess it's just over 1%, is it? 1.1%. So it's a mixed bag. So if you're looking for buys, just to be concerned, if you're looking for a buy entry, just be wary of what the overall market's doing. Always take into account what the overall market's doing before, and it's got to be a good quality entry signal for the buyers. So in saying all that, what we'll talk about today is some shorts. Just seeing some things that are looking weak. So if you're holding them long, sorry, they look a bit weak to me, but it can be the times. Anyone that trades CFDs out there has got the ability to short into their account. It could be worthwhile. So just after talking about what's happening on the ASX, on the XJO, anyone else got some ideas what they're expecting on these markets? Now, this is just to reiterate, this is the FTSE, and the FTSE has had a good run up, and that's still well and truly bullish. The only thing is, it is getting extended up here. This move up has taken a bit of, not a bit of effort. It's looking quite good. But it is, that structure there is looking great, actually. It is getting, this little leg up here is a bit extended, so you just have to take it back a notch and just see what's happening overall. The key level for the FTSE is around that 7,100, 400 points away really on a weekly basis, and it hasn't had apart from that on a daily. You look at 72, so it's only 100 points higher. The last few days have been quite strong, so it wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of heat taken out of this market tonight, because I don't think they saw. I'm not sure whether they saw a lot of the selling. It depends. They close about 1, I'm guessing, 1 a.m., whereas the US is about 6, so there's a few hours of, and I think the US really started accelerating the selling into the close in the last hour or so. So I've got a feeling these guys will open up and get poleaxed a bit, whereas the DAX was... DAX is... Oh, actually, no, they're pretty much the same. On the index anyway, so this market could be a lot lower on the open today. Yeah, actually, I would expect that. But either way, that market's still looking positive. That's the DAX. Look at the Dow. The Dow's rolling out, so the key level really on the Dow is this low through here. It probably is around lows of 2380. What are we now? Still 250 points away. So looking at that, not too bad. If you just give me 1 second, guys. Just got to check out a number. Just having some phone calls coming through, so we're just going to make sure that everyone is okay. Let me get that up. Yeah, all right. It's going to be a second there. 7. Oh, right to go. 7 points in the futures, yeah. So it's interesting times. So what I was just saying here on the Dow, this could just be a bit of a flush out. Don't forget the market can do that if it's just struggling, like you can see the last. I know the bears are well and truly in control just the last couple of days, and they're getting a bit. Obviously, it's made a few people nervous, but in context to the structure, it could be a bit of this, a bit of a flush out, a couple of days lower, maybe retest down to this 2400 or even around 25 to 600, just holding that zone and build it high low, and then start, because it had a good little run up into the highs. The Dow pulled short of all-time highs, I think, held those levels up there, but every time it got bought up. You can see these candles here, sort of rejection candles. Tried to go again, couldn't. So we've had a bit of a flush out. Doesn't mean this is it's taken a bit of effort to get down and flushed a few people out. So it could easily hold this high low, hold above 2040, 400, and then go again. You just have to keep that in the back of your mind. There's no reason why it can't do that. Let's look at the S&P. So even after last night's smashing it, S&P's similar, very, very similar price action. MAs are still up. This is on the daily. The weekly's definitely up as well. So it's got to push down below 23.25 on the S&P before you'd start getting too concerned. But it can, and then that's only retracing this major leg up. Does that make sense, guys? So you just got to be aware of your anchors are, and if we push down below and then start going up again and build a lower high, then that could be a bit of a concern. But it hasn't happened yet, and we're a long way off it. Anyway, let's just... You retracted your message, Dev. Let's go and look at it. Has anyone actually got some shorts on? Not shorts as in pants and shorts, but some sold positions on. Is there anything that we want to look at in that respect? I've got a couple here. There's a few things. Just bear with me a second there, guys. We're back. I'll get my picture back up. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. A little bit of an issue, but let's get stuck into it now. So anyone's got some sold positions on you want to have a quick look at, we'll just look at what were the two we had. So I'm going to quickly go over one GXL. This is a sell. It's more on the weekly. That obviously that's pretty. That looks very negative. But if you go back to the weekly chart, this is what's interests us on the sell side. You've got this key level at 6. It's actually, well, if we get up the the recent alert. I'm just going to take it one step back. Has anyone got this by any chance? So this is the original one we're looking at. You can see that's we've got a high up here. So the market's extended up to about 1075, pushed down, and that was a key level at that stage. It's touched on that key level, retested it, pushed back up. So if that was a strong market, you don't want to see it push all the way back down to that anchor level, to a key level. That's quite a bit of selling there, especially with the market's meant to be positive. But it didn't. It touched on that, and it started heading high again. That would have dragged in a few buys, and then it's just run out of steam here. You can see a gap up on that week there. I don't know what's happened there, and then you get a bit of a flush out, and it's sold back down again, all the way back down to 5. But what's happened from there? The market's rebounded off that 5 zone, that whole number, washed it out, and it had to make a deeper correction. But that correction back up hasn't gone too far. And then you can see we flushed out the top side, those recent highs at 775 thereabouts at this point. And then we started, so that's a major lower high. You've got a high here, lower high, and another major lower high just in here at around that 780 mark or something. Then we started pushing down, and we built that lower high, and we're pushing down again. And it was getting bought up, but then we've had this area through 725, which really struggled. We were keeping an eye on this. If you look at this chart here, that's not over. It still could go either way. So by looking at these, even the short positions, this is what I'm saying about sometimes getting on the fence. Just try to remember, could it go long? Yes. Okay. Could it go short? Yes. Okay. I want to stand aside just for now, because it's got to, at that point there, it could easily bounce off that 675, that red candle can turn green, or the next week is quite positive, push up through 725, and then, okay, that looks actually a long trade. Push up through 725, trade up to 775 and beyond, and build those high lows as it goes, because it's still, even though it's contracted off that level, it's still, this zone through here is a potential high low. You've got that little flush out there, that rejection there, so potentially that's a high low, but we've got our key levels, what we want to look at. So this market, if we just go back to where we are at now, that's about here. So on that last week, we were looking at this. I had this on the radar. At this stage, I thought it was going to go long. We're looking for a good, solid higher low to build and push up through 725 again, but it just didn't. It just pretty much sold off from there, and you can see that price action is not. Oh, that's a bit of a. That really is a bit too high. So that's a price action there through here. That little washout of 720, and then you get a couple of red candles. Not looking good at all, especially when we got through this minor low at 680 or thereabouts. So what we're looking for now, I would like to see, you can see that, to me, that's definitely pushing south. I would like to see that lower high build on a weekly basis potentially. Well, definitely on a weekly basis, because I think it's getting a bit extended to the downside on a weekly basis. I wouldn't mind it seeing a bit of a bounce, a sharp bounce, sucking in some buyers, then building that weekly lower high, and then I think going down to the daily charts just for that entry short. But I think this one, you potentially just had it previously through 670, these lows. You can see that little lower high in there after the flush out. So actually that's not a bad trade. Missed that, to be honest. Let's just have a quick look at it. The entry we're talking about for a short position potentially was... Yeah, let's just draw that. So we've got a little... I think this type of thing is quite important. And then you've got your key levels through here. After you see that flush out and then taking out a key zone like that at 690, it's only a minor zone. But then if you look for that lower high, the market's reacted back up again, hit 7, and then started selling off again. You could have had a nice little short through 670, and that's taken you, it's giving you some, 70 cents so far. So that was a nice entry at the moment because we caught it a bit late. We want a more major pullback. So potentially I'd like to see it. It's pushed down to that 6, even if we just flush it out a bit and then build back up, because that type of price action is going to, on a daily basis, going to bring in a few buyers that are happy to buy it off 6. But I think that overall weekly price structure is it's just looking weak. And then if we get this type of price action, when we get a minor lower high on a daily basis, then I think that's going to lead to a nice little short, because that's a major lower high conjunction with a minor lower high. But just see where that goes. Just be wary if you are looking to short a market, they can happen hard and fast. So this may be over. We don't know just yet. We'll have to keep an eye on this. What else we got? Haven't you said FWD. FWD looks great. Yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second. We'll just go over the other short. I think, just trying to remember what it was. IFN. Another one with similar price structure. So just going over this one, a lot of it's the type of thing we've talked about in the past a lot with longs. Yeah, it probably was, but I don't know what it was, but it got extended and you can see that selling starting to come in. Do you know what it is on IFN? I know you like your PEs. Do you know what pretty much that the last few days that's looking a bit negative? So, and that's, I don't know if anyone can see that, but basically if you take these highs, basically it's just flushed out the high that didn't go anywhere, then you got some selling, but still this was in context of higher lows you've got through here. So at that stage it still wasn't too bad. Then it's gone again, flushed it out a little bit more, and you've got a key level up at 120, and then but the problem is it sold down through, and that's where we got this contraction in. It's the same on a week. Buying or selling, you're looking for contraction. You can see that market is pushing higher. The buyers are stepping up, but the sellers are pretty strong too at around that zone. So every time it heads up to around 102 to 105, it was getting sold down. Then you can this leg down here, I think was quite negative, and then it's touched all the way down that support zone, built that little minor lower high, and then gone bang. It's just pushed through that. I think it's about 91 or 90. So not a bad little area. That would have been a nice little sell in there. We've just got an eye on it at the moment. And you can see this overall longer term uptrend is starting to break. So we don't know where it could push down. We don't know what's going to happen from here. But as a short setup, you can see that it's very similar on the flip side. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's another short one that looks, I think it's got a bit of a, maybe a bit of a beating in the mix. We just see how that goes. It could see there's quite a few levels. The problem, like I said, with shorts, as opposed to buying, selling as opposed to buying, selling can happen hard and fast, and it looks really negative. You can pull up short on a key zone quite easily, and sometimes they don't give you the entry setup which we look for on the long side, on the buy side. So you just got to be wary when you're selling. If you hit into a key zone, you get some profit on the table, maybe just take it off. Look to take some of it off anyway, lock it in. Alrighty, anything else, guys, that you can see on the short side just while we're at it? Might as well, negative day, just talk about it a bit more while I have a bit of my coffee still. There was one that someone mentioned a while ago, VTG. I just wanted to go over that again because I think anyone that listened to our talk, it was on the Tuesday night, and Davin mentioned something that I've always tried to watch for as well, that I found very interesting, and this one's probably playing out quite nicely. Vita Group, VTG. I don't know any of the fundamentals on this. I think that at one stage, I'm not sure who it was that mentioned this stock. If you're listening, and you can just put in what they actually did, what caused that sell-off, that would be interesting. But if anyone's got any note, I think they were doing a deal of some sort, and that's why it started picking up. It was looking good, then it didn't come through, it fell through. So as a selling opportunity, it's got pretty much the same structure. You've got these higher highs, higher lows, a bit of a major washout here. It's popped back up, maybe on the back of that news. But then you've gone and built a lower high just in here. And that's, sold down through, was it 460? 470? About 460. That little support zone there. And then you can see that acceleration in the sellers. But what's happened, it's obviously getting to a zone where, okay, buyers and sellers are matching out, where you've got that reaction. But this is not the reaction I want to see if I'm a buyer. I don't technically want to see this sharp reaction up and then these choppiness, maybe a bit of a push down. You don't technically want to see that, because you want to see, if the selling's come down, you want to see a shallow sort of a retracement, maybe another go to retest, and then contraction in, starting to hold some higher lows. after some good corrections. So maybe from here it's pushed down and then this type of thing. And then starting to build maybe, if you know what I mean. This type of sharp reaction off quite high is not the ideal situation for a buyer, I wouldn't have thought, because I would see this as bargain hunting, not necessarily a good time to buy or a good price. I mean, this could be any reason why they buy it in there, but to me, it's bargain hunting. It's been sold down hard. Let's have a go. Good. Obviously, if you did do that, you've got some profit, but longer term, no, not very good. I think, and this is what I think we were looking at this stage. It was about here when we started looking at it, when someone popped it up into the chat. And this is the type of price action I'm looking at it thinking, okay, we've contracted higher, but we're holding a level. We couldn't get through 360. I didn't like this price action as such. And then you started getting these lower highs into it, back down to the support zone. As it was coming off here, I thought the first thing you look at is what happens if it breaks through, give or take $3. Then it looked like it was over to me. It looked like that, because especially that was a nice little support line. So just looking at that price structure, very similar to what we saw just before. You've got people who have held it up here. You've got a savage sell-off. It's come back up. Buyers are trying to have a go at it, but the sellers are just thinking, for whatever reason, selling it in, just getting out of it, whether they've held it longer term, whether these are the guys that have bought it up here and are seeing, okay, this is probably just not going to go back up. Let's just get out of it. I think the deal fell through on that day, and it was down about 20 or 30%. But look what's happened since. It's just absolutely capitulated. Now, just on a side note, what I was talking about, Davin mentioned on that talk, was this two type of leg. I wonder if I can grab that. I can't grab that. Two leg move. So if you look at it on a longer term weekly basis, potentially we're coming into the zone now. You can see that's getting a bit exhausted there. The sellings are quite strong. The selling's been quite strong. So potentially we're coming to a zone that's a bit of a bargain hunting try for again, and then that second leg down, quite strong acceleration. If we look at it on the weekly, just get some more data in there. Oh, geez, it's coming all the way back down to 80 cents. So that's really not very nice at all. But yeah, I thought that was a good, as a short setup. It's one that's definitely worth looking at too. So if you're getting that similar type of price structure. Oh, there you go. Thanks, John, for that. So it's Telstra reducing fees paid to VGD by 10%. So, yeah, not very nice. Anyway, let's... I'm just trying to think. There's one other thing I just wanted to have a quick talk about. I'm just going to check these. Someone popped this up the other day. I don't know why. I just got to remember what I was talking about. NUH. Now, I can't exactly remember what I was. I think I just drew up a chart to send off to someone the other day. Oh, that's not what I want to do. Let's just quickly see if we can find it. Here we go. It's just, we were just talking about this stock. Someone popped this in. This is NWH. This is the one we just had a second ago. It's this here. So I don't know what's happened. It's popped up to 8.5 and pulled back a bit. Obviously today's not going to help it. But just talking about the price action. Now that's what it was. I think it's worthwhile having a bit of a quick overview of this. But just get ready, guys. After this, I think we can any stocks you want to have a quick look at, feel free to chuck it in, put it in the chat. But I think this is definitely one. So this is what I sent out to, I think it was a guy named Will, who's been asking some really good questions. And I think just to try to explain, he was looking at this type of price action. You can see this move down, okay, and what we look for is that high low. Now we've got the high low just in here, but it really, in context of this move down, that could just be a bit of a pop up, and we could easily just roll over from there. It's a bit different. The price action which we're looking at here is what we saw with this setup, which led to a nice little high push higher. So what I did is really just mark up. You got that contraction in there. So what, like we said before, we're looking for a move from contraction into expansion. Don't forget the market can contract lower, but there can also, in between, it can go into a lot of consolidation. So either that could be wasting your time, it could consolidate between a range, and then continue lower, just like we saw on VTG. You can get that contraction lower and then a bit of a pullback, and then it could roll over again. So just you're going to be wary of what type of price action you're looking for. So that's why, to combat the potentially a short sell, this is the ideal zone. So I was looking at it this side, right up in the hard right edge, right up. Well, it's a couple of days ago. I think this was yesterday or the day before. Yesterday. Let's just close that. So just to go over and explain this, what we've seen is a contraction down here. We've got that little push down to 4.5. What we've seen from here, and this potentially could be, we've got the little, this is a very minor high low, but really I would look at that as contraction, because it could easily push up, hold that trend down or hold the contraction lower, and then just sell off and make new lows. And then you could potentially get caught out. What we've seen here is it's bust up out of contraction. So I like on this candle here, I don't know if you can see that clearly. I think for me that's the important thing. It's popped up, so that's an early signs up. Okay, the next step for us to put in your mind is what's happening here. Is it going to be go into consolidation, just go sideways for a while? Because that's a good heads up that we're breaking out of contraction. But is it worth buying there? Oh, I don't know, because it could easily go back there and test the lows. Anything could happen. And we saw a bit of price action here. We got a pop up through that. In hindsight, could have easily been a nice little an entry there, which didn't last too long. But then your risk is down below $6. But what I do like, you can see that sort of consolidation congestion through there. The ideal one is this entry just further on. That's purely because we've had that little pop up, and then we've washed out these lows. So if this was going to be a negative market and potential short sell, we would have expected that to roll over and down and take out those lows. But what it did instead was push back, push down. We started retracing some of that move, and then we consolidated through here. So if that was negative, you would have expected that to pop out down below 6, which is that lower end down there, and then roll over from there and just really the selling start, because that's a major lower high than you're initially going to target down to 5.5, and then on she goes. But instead, you flip it over, and this is what we've said just before about sitting on the fence and try to analyze it from both sides of the market. What would I need to see to be a buyer? What would I need to see to be a seller? Right in here, it's an each way bet. As soon as you get that push up through, then we've got confirmation of an inside high low, a major high low just here, a key high low, which we said number 4. And then your steps are just really to buy in that push up through even around 7. And you can see that that's really accelerated higher, because that is an overall major high low. So you're putting all these little pieces, number 1, the key level. We've got a key level up here. It's touched on the key level. It's pulled back off there, a bit of congestion. It did wash out that key level and then pull back to make a deeper correction. So that's, we've got a few different things that are adding up together to say, okay, this could potentially be a really nice buy. And we get to this stage here. Okay, I think this is the crux of it all, is that when you get to about here, adding together what we see in here, we see, okay, for confirmation that I want to be in, it's got to break up through there, and that's where I want to enter. And then you can see that obviously this is all in hindsight, but it's really accelerated high. So when you do get that acceleration, you know that you're probably on the right side of the market. There's a really good chance that you are. Now you put that into what we're just seeing here. This is a different scenario altogether. We've got the market is contracting lower. This is the initial sign, like here, like back here, just prior to the touch on that key level of number 1. It's very early stages, I think, for a major new leg higher, which it could potentially be. You can see decent correction down here, or contraction lower, held a high low, major high low, accelerated all the way back up to 14.5 cents. Major lower highs all the way down to just above 6. And then we just pushed off that zone. So potentially this is another major high low, could lead to another leg up all the way to 14.5. But I think just at this stage, it's a bit different to what we've seen to add up to here. It's quite an early entry. Now, if your targets are quite close, then fine. You're just looking for this, could potentially just be a contraction up. And if I can draw that up a bit better, I'll tell you what I mean. Yeah, actually. And what I'm saying by this is that we know that this market's pushed lower, so we don't know if it's going to just do something similar, contract up and then roll over, but we don't know if it's just going to keep going. It didn't in this case, but it could easily in this case wash out these lows, attack back down to 4, and then you got caught in a pretty crappy position. So at the moment, we've had a good strong leg up. We've just potentially broken up out of contraction. So the market could easily do what it's doing here and continue higher, but then it can easily roll over, retest this low, wash it out, and then start building. And that's what we'd like to see. We wouldn't be on the other end of it. If we do get that push down, retest the lows, we don't want to get caught being potentially on the wrong side of a short position. Does that make sense, guys? I guess just the two differences, the key differences in that. At the moment, we're just contracting higher. The key level's right up at 11 just at the moment, which produced this push down. So we could contract easily. If that's 11 up there, if I can just draw this a bit better. If this is 11 up here, remember what we said, 1/3 to 2/3. So if we push down, we contract up to that anchor at 11. We could easily do that, push up, and then start to roll over. Okay, and then it's a short, and we could attack those lows, or we could just start to roll over and then fall short of this support zone around 6. Is that making sense? Sense there? But it's just trying to bear in mind what's happening. Okay, just that picture, and then what you're really doing is squeezing it down or refining it down to the entry setup. But again, you're just trying to put together. You're just trying to put together those setups. Like at this stage, we've got this pop up through here. We've got to push down, and that's a major high low. Okay, from there, what do we want to see? Obviously, a break up through there. If this just rolled over from here, then that's a lower high. It's pretty much as simple as that. And then that should lead to lower prices, at least a test down at 4, but it didn't. It went the other way. So that way we've got good confirmation. We've got an inside level. We're front running this type of setup at 6. And then it just blasted through that 6 level. Had a good pullback, pretty much back down to where we got in. But that is all positive structure. And you can see that was starting to accelerate. So when it accelerates like that, it's just something to go, hang on a sec. That's a really nice sign that you're on the right side of the market. All right. Anything else? Is there anything you want to have a quick look at? Guys, just chuck it in the chat. Otherwise, I'll just keep rambling on different things. Easy enough. Let's just see where the market is. Down 71 at the moment. So SSM, we're still kicking on at server stream. I want to see that push a bit higher. We've got a We've got a profit target around, say, 140. I just want to see that extend into 140 if it can pop up there. Just taking a partial exit because I think it's starting to get a bit. This market's starting to look a bit extended on this service stream. What else do we have? IFM was the short. Hub is one we mentioned a while ago, 3.5. Didn't actually send it as an alert, but was it 3.5? I can't even remember now, to be honest. Oh no, it was 3.490, so that's kicked on, still looking all right. Just going to be wary of what's happening here. Now on the long side, what was the one Davin just put up before? AFG. Let's take a look. Whoa. Well, I'm obviously on a weekly basis, so what has happened on that one there? Fleetwood. You're determined on that one, aren't you, Dav? I'll do that. So that price action doesn't look too bad at all. And there's a few key things. Obviously, I think you just want to keep in context. I think this is the key things just to watch out for. Key. It's all key. What I would personally be looking for anyway. And everyone trades a bit differently. I'm the best though. All right, so we've had. So it's just a matter of, I guess, just trying to draw out that picture. Let's just see what's happened before that. Oh, so I'm guessing something's happened there. For whatever reason, I would just be putting most of my emphasis in the last price action, most recent price action. So we had that little 90 cents is holding up. Then we got that pop up just here through a bit of a minor lower high. So any lower high you'd expect a minor deeper correction. So you're looking at levels which could hold up. Then you've got a more major high low at around 95 in context of that 90 low, and that's led to a nice little push up. Then what we've done, we've washed out those highs. Okay, couldn't go on with it. So again, you got that lower high led to a bit of a deeper correction, but not too bad actually.
Then you've got a lower high just in here. But then we just got a flush at that zone around 116. Little washout here. And again, the market's pretty much come all the way back down at this stage. I don't know what happened there, but that quite a savage sell-off, and then pretty much retraced quite a bit. So that was really nice rejection. But what we're seeing so your key level for me is more likely to be down at this support zone around 115 and 16. But it's quite a wide sort of a congestion or wide sort of contraction. I guess you can have a support through here, but it's actually traded down at this level, and we started holding some little high lows just in here. But it only led to a spike up to that 145, which is a bit of a resistance zone at the moment. So we may still have, because it's such a wide range, that's what concerns me more than anything. I would be looking for potentially, I'd want to see. That's pretty much where it spiked down. So we'll forget about that spike down because it pretty much finished back up there. Then it's pushed up to the top. I'd want to see just a bit of heat or volatility come out of the market and some minor contraction where you've got some higher lows holding, and then that's going to take us. It could take quite a while, actually, a few days, maybe a week, couple of weeks or so, just to contract in, and then look for that spot where these. It comes to more of a point rather than such a wide range, because it could easily pop up, it looks good, and then roll over again and go deeper, because it's got to be above 117 for me. So this could easily chop around between 117 and 40 or 50, quite a wide range, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you there, Don? But generally, this overall structure is still looking good. I think it's just contracting a bit, so you really got to pick out an opportune time to look for a buy entry signal or a buy entry setup either. And that's what I would potentially like to see. I can just draw that just in there. Okay, and then it's pretty much like the what was the last one we just talked about? Hub. Is it Hub? No, NUH. It's just that really we've got it here, haven't we? It's that you're looking for. The market's just contracting in, a bit of volatility out of the market, a narrow range, so that way you know exactly where you're going to put your exit, your risk, and then just go from there. All right, Dav, we got to you, Dav. I hope that makes sense there, Don. Whacking a few, keep me busy. So this, Davins hasn't done a bad job on this, has he? So you can see if we just take one step back, a major step back, obviously it's down, major lows down at that dollar even mark. Obviously it's been way up at $14, but that, for whatever reason, when that major sell-off is probably restructuring, something's happened. It's not very good. Heat's come out of the market, but what you can see, if you go back down to the daily, I think even the weekly probably, these major levels, you can see just these key levels and the way price is reacting. Yeah, I did it again, didn't I? Might be worth just looking at it on a weekly. I think the weekly is probably the key. Yeah, let's just look at a weekly chart. I can hear my daughter in the background. She's a crazy little one, actually. All right, so what we've got here, I like that, and that's what I know Davin loves too. So you get that push down to, say it's $1.10, that pop up, it's built a higher low, so that's brought in a few buys, nice early buys, but it's a bit, I think, buying it just at this stage, it's a bit early. You can see that the MAs are still down. They're coming in, which is a good sign, but generally when they're down so hard and you haven't really broken through a key level, which we did at that stage, but just in here, high lows are holding. It's a bit like that, again, back to the same one, NUF, but where it's been the last few days. It's a little bit early. You haven't broken any significant levels just to... I just saw your note, Dav. We haven't broken any significant levels to warrant, are we out of this downtrend? Are we
Are we starting to find buys? Are we starting to find a base? Are we starting to build for the next leg up? All that sort of stuff. So at this stage, no. They are coming in, but there's no reason why it can't accelerate lower again and just, could have at this stage just gone bang, straight down. All right. Just 1 second there, guys. So you can see that the market's, but at this stage, it's a different story. We've got this little, which is always nice, and that little pop up through a relatively key level at, what was that, $2? That's nice. So then, okay, heads up. We could be coming out of that downtrend. We're starting to, but then really just be searching for a base. What it's done after that, you built that little lower high. So that, okay, could be negative. We just got to watch it, watch the price action, see our key levels. How does it react off those key levels? Which it just touched down, did react off that key level initially, and then pushed down, washed it out a bit. But then once we got back up through $1.30, I think that confirms that's a double bottom, which is a nice little, it's a solid buying opportunity. Well, so Davin said, just as a bit of a heads up, he has bought some of these, just to be transparent. It hasn't been an alert, but Dav actually bought this a while ago. So I know his style of trading. It's these are beautiful setups. This is what suits him down to a T, really. But either way, so what I'm saying is that push up through $1.30, it was way back in 2016, but that's a big heads up that, okay, this is where buyers are. It's a line in the sand where they're willing to protect, what sort of level they're willing to buy at. You got that push up here especially after this washout of that high. So you've got two nice little points in there, a nice confirmation. The next real thing is that 220 zone, which is the previous highs. But what we've done is pushed up to that high. We've just washed it out, pull back. But then what we're doing here is holding. If we draw that up, is holding these high lows. So on a weekly basis, it looks nice. I think so. It's really just a matter of just popping it down to the, and look at this zone we're in too. I know stochastics that. So any sort of move down, this quite a solid move down here. Some good pressure by the sellers, but it really was holding up. It's holding up quite well. The buyers were stepping in. The buyers, all the way down here, they're just buy, soaking it up quite well. Otherwise, if that was negative, you'd expect it to come all the way back down, a much deeper correction. So you've got to look at just these two things in conjunction. We spoke about it a lot. When you get a move down that doesn't quite match the strength of the selling, and that's the strength of the selling. That's the way I view it anyway. When it gets down to oversold, that's quite strong selling, but the price is holding up. That's good. Now, the difference between that and a move down to here is different. Okay, so you just got to take all that sort of stuff into account. And even you can see this candle bang. So that selling was quite heavy down here. It tried to pick up, roll over again. So that's a bit different to what we're seeing here. So that's a good little heads up. Okay, holding higher lows, and we're touching up on 220. So you know that there's probably going to be a few entries just above 220, 225, say, that are ready and poised to get that, because that's a double bottom, major higher low, and then on we go. Does that make sense here, guys? Dav, do you understand what I'm talking about, Dav? This is FWD Fleetwood. So just looking at the daily. Yeah, the daily, I'd just like to see if you can get an inside high low here, would be awesome. I think it'd be great. But just keep an eye on that, guys. All right. Anything else? Oh, no, EVN. Let's get into that. So I'm just trying to get my bearings. It's always good just to go back the charts, get your bearings of what's happening in the major picture, and then just build it. So obviously one good thing, we're starting to get that stochastic holding, around 40%. So that's a good sign, especially after breaking through 2. I know this is on a monthly scale. A lot of people don't look at this, but for me, you've got different levels of buyers, different time frame buyers. So you've got to take note of what different charts, what's happening in the longer term, shorter term, everything, just to start refining your entries. And it's always good for, it helps your stats in essence, I guess. So bit of banging on there. We've got the lows down here, pushed up to $2. Couldn't get through off this base through $1.20. Pushed up, sold off quite heavily, but it got bought up a bit earlier, and you got this little washout. If you can see, probably better to see it on a weekly basis. It's a little washout here. Okay, of these lows, and that's a major high low on the monthly basis. Then we started picking up. You can see it attacked these highs. Good sign, high low. Okay, that's the leading. If you're looking at that stage, especially after that little washout just in here, and that deep, well, I guess correction from the down move, but deep, that good push higher, right up into a key zone around 90 cents, I think. And then that pullback, that's all good. So you add all those together, off a major high low, which this is on the monthly, this weekly chart, then buying it in here, great. If you bought it through 2015, you were looking great. Holding high lows all the way up. What we did, that's going to bring anyone that's holding it through here, that's going to be a bit of cause for concern, I guess, with a move up to 3, because it's so vertical. It's been so strong the last, I guess, month or two through here. And that's obviously going to bring in some selling, and that's what we got, some selling, some lower highs. So we're back down to the daily, just trying to find a zone. Just quickly just to go to the weekly. So I think this is, I'll draw this up. So the thing with this, with EVN, was what I'm just looking at. It's, for me, we've just spoken about some shorts and the setup. So we've got this move up here. Okay, then we've got the lower high. That's caused a move down to here. Was it $1.60? All right, then we've got this kind of reaction high. So that was quite a good, solid reaction, especially through early stages of that move up. And then we had a bit of a pullback. It tried to go through the highs again. So what we can see right now is that, okay, we tried to go higher, had to have a deeper correction down to 190. So it could actually be quite good. But I would like to see, and maybe that's just me being overly cautious, just a bit of contraction in there and then a pop-up. So this could be a washout of this high here. This could be a lower high at 240. We don't know. And then it could roll over through, support. Then that's a good short setup. And you can see where it is. This move down has been quite solid. You can see the strength in the stochastics. And then it's popped up. The pop-up has been quite solid too. It's been bought up quite hard, but it's only got as so far as 240 at the moment, so it could fall short of that 250 high, which is a previous high, retest that, and then roll over. So at the moment, for me, it's looking, there's an argument for both sides of it. And what do we got here? The daily. Yeah, so it's a daily chart here. So it's worth just keeping an eye on. What I would ideally, like I said, like to see, if we just draw it up here, so we've got that move down, just draw it up in a different colour. Move down, we've pushed up, say it's just up here, that zone, we've pushed all the way down, and then we've popped up through, potentially pulled back to here. What I would like to see, if we're up here, I would just like to see a bit of, we'll just make that a bit of maybe this type of price action on it, and that brings it right into a stage where you can potentially get a better entry, and then when it pops up, you've got the high lows are really taken hold. The high lows are built. Buyers are stepping in at higher prices, and then as soon as you get that pop through, then the sellers have got cause for concern, or anyone that's been waiting think it's going to roll over deeper, and they can potentially get it down here. Is probably going to go, oh, hang on a second, I think I've got it wrong, and I want to buy it now because that could potentially lead to another move right up to those highs at 310. Does that make sense there, John? But I mean, it could be completely wrong. This could pop up through those highs at 250 and then on she goes. But for me, if it's through 250, your risk has to be down here at 210. It may be a bit too much. So I'd just like to see a bit of contraction like this build. What was the other one you had? EPW. All right, we might have to just knock it on the head here after this one. So just to draw up this weekly, so in context, what's EP? I'll change the name. I'm pretty sure we've traded this before. Whoop. So we've had off a base here, move up. Okay, then we've had a move down. So this is off the weekly. You're just trying to, and as soon as you break through that high, that's a nice little contraction. What do you expect from there? Then we start rolling over, we've got a lower high. So that's a push back up. Couldn't get to these highs. And then we've got that acceleration lower. All right. We don't know if that's finished just yet. That's a massive
down move, so that could be just that exhaustion move down to the lows, really flushing out. So anyone that's bought it in here, bought it up through here, may have rode that through and go, okay, we're going back up, woohoo. Like to add in my little yeah, we'll have a look at that in a second. Great work there, Paul. So we've got this push up here, pull back, pop back up. So if you, at this stage, if you bought it in here, you go, oh, that's great, I'm back in profit, blah, blah. Then you build that lower high. So you're going to get concerned. And you can see by that, as soon as we sort of held these levels and broke out to the downside, anyone, even if you bought it in here and you rode all that risk there, expecting it to come back and give yourself a chance to get out again at a profit, then at this stage right through here, you'd be going, oh, hang on a second, that's a major lower high. What does that major lower high mean? It means we're attacking at least down to that support zone at 160. I don't want to hold it. I'm sick of it, blah, blah. I've held it for a long time now. I want to be out. So that's, well, what I'm guessing, what I'm assuming. That's the way I would be thinking anyway. I'm guessing there's that sort of emotional factor that's involved with your trades. So I've got all my nice little lines on there, but what I'm trying to say now is that that secondary move down, I think we've still got a level through about 670 to contend with, so we are contracting back up towards that. It doesn't mean if this produces a lower high and we push down through 105, could be a bit of the same type of price action. We could lead us to lows. It's just that it's had that second move down. So generally, a third move down is quite a bit. There's something seriously wrong with the stock. You would have thought anyway. So it could easily, and this is what could catch that last ditched effort. Anyone that's still holding it may have bought it here, catch them back out. It pushes down, flushes out through 105, but potentially pulls up short of that major low, and then starts building from there. But I think that at the moment that key level is up at 160. Whether we hold up here, we hold above, push up through that, was it 135? That would be great. If that's the case, then it still doesn't mean anything until we break this level through here. And this is the weekly, don't forget. So I think definitely on the weekly basis, the pressure's still down. Potentially could be more to come. It's not looking the best at the moment. But you just pop it down to the daily, and this, just remembering that this, on the weekly, we could just be contracting higher up towards that 160.65. So if you're looking at that from that respect, it could easily contract back up and retest it. There could be a good trade in it. So you've got to remember that, because it's the weekly and there's quite a bit of range in it. So if we look at it on that basis, even if it's just in context to a contraction higher on the week and then it rolls over down the track, you could still make money out of it. Oh, I did it again. And if we just try to take into account, I'm just going to get a bit less rubbish on the page. Does that... Alright, there we go. So we've got, I think it's a key level up, yeah, it's 160. So we push down here. Potentially that's, a lower high below 160. We get another lower high here, but I think so this is where you can put you've got to be careful with just your support lines. This could easily just this is not the daily, is it? Is that everything? Let me just do that again, guys. I think I'm missing something. Just got to get that chart back up. I've got a bit of a cold, if you haven't noticed, from the kids. What happens when you take them to creche and all that sort of stuff? They bring it home with them. So 160 through 160 is key. If we just drew out through the bottoms here, I mean that's still looking good. Or you can just draw it through here and go. So it's sort of funny how you could, if you draw your low through that low and then here, it could be negative. There's no doubt about it. That could be a bit of a sell if you had a major lower high here. But where do you want to see confirmation? But the thing is, it's been sold down quite a bit and it's holding up above here. So if you put it across these lows, it could be a different story altogether. So there is room for this to pop up. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So we could easily, just on this daily basis, if we had a nice little setup, say we're looking at breaking out of this contraction and we're going to hold this support zone in here, which is around that 117. If that's the case, what are our targets? It could be short-lived, but we're giving ourselves a good little opportunity. So it's just all these. Actually, just take all these out. So we've got potentially that's the high. So we could be on a major contraction. But if you're looking for a long position off this one, we are in the zone just in here where it could work out. And you could have a 2-to-1. And if it breaks up and tests up towards these highs, great. I think it's going to be on. I think we're breaking into that major contraction. You might have to run through a bit of heat, but it could easily do that. If we're just going to break out of this, I'm just trying to draw it a bit quicker. So what we're doing is we've done that down to here. You just want to see it pop up and out just out of here, and then you want to see that higher low build, and that could potentially just be that setup you're looking for, because you know that we're in a good zone. It's adding up off a nice support zone. Look, get that high low in here, and then bang. It could be short-lived, like I said, at 127, but it could be a 1-to-1 trade. It's worth having a bit of a go at it. But if it breaks up to trades at 130, then you'd be confident that we're looking up towards 132, 33, and then potentially up to these highs, and that longer-term trend take hold, and we could be contracting all the way back up to 160. But just got to remember that's a weekly contraction, so that could be a major lower high, another lower high, and if we just pop out down, okay, it's all over. If we trade down towards here, I think we're going to roll over and test all the way back down to, say, 80 or so. But either way, good to take a look at. All right. Let's just have a look at what you said, Paul. Qantas and that. That price action looks good. I think we had a bit of a nibble at it around, I can't remember what it was. At this stage, I think I was looking at it as a bit of a short, so didn't do anything around here, looking at it as a bit of a short, but looks like the buyers took control and just pretty much forgot about it. So that was that price action. That's the one Paul traded there. Qantas was really good. Pushed up and off, pushed through these highs at 3. So longer term, that stands out quite nicely now. It's getting extended at the moment, but we may need a bit of heat to come out of the market, back down, and then up she goes again. Yeah, I think it was a break even. I don't know, but it could have been a break even. Let's just see. I think we had a couple of nibbles at Qantas. Yeah, so overall we had a little win, little loss. It's a bit of a shame, but yeah, that really took off. And what was the other one you just said? FXJ. Yeah, so that price structure is a bit like FWD, like we just mentioned. That's looking quite good. Had that push down here, and then spent so much time through, so many years just holding between that range. We popped out to the top side of that range. So I guess as a target, you could just be looking for that move up from say 35 cents up to 105. That's at 70 cents. Take it from that low of around 70 up to $1.40. It could just get extended up here, $1.40. That can coincide to sort of this congestion through here way back when, 2011. Could easily push up into there, so could still have a bit of legs in it. Oh geez, that looks nice. What have they done? Yeah, that's good. Good work. You love your fundamentals. Oh, everyone has a different way of trading. As long as it suits you, that's good. I'm probably a bit lazy to read through things like that. Do like looking at them occasionally. It's good just to know what they're actually doing, if it supports your technical view. All right, what we'll do is knock it on the head there, guys. 1 hour and 10. So we'll be back in on. Hope you'll have make a good day of it today as much as you can. Keep yourself out of trouble, and we'll see what the next couple of nights bring us out of the US. And what we'll do is we'll be back in on Monday at 12:30, the same time, same place. So if you get any questions, then we'll get stuck into it. Thanks again for joining us. I hope you have a good weekend. All right, guys. Cheers. If you do like what you see, just leave us a like on the video. That'd be much appreciated. All right, we'll see you Monday.